Now at 5, we're going to hear from the Ottawa County Sheriff about the recent escape of 4 inmates from the county jail. Plus, how Pittsburgh is raising money to help people with their utility bills. And President Biden hits the campaign trail in Pennsylvania ahead of the midterms.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Ottawa County, Oklahoma Sheriff says the recent escape of 4 inmates was not a jail issue, but the fault of a jailer. This is KOAM News at 5. The inmates escaped the jail on October 4th by running through a door left open while repairmen were working in the jail pod. One inmate, Rusty Reese, was caught the same day. Authorities caught Buck Martindale October 5th and offered rewards for the other 2. October 7th, they caught Tyler Tavis and Daniel Zajacek. Sheriff Dean says they're at full capacity with 3 to 4 jailers per shift, and they cannot manage every inmate.
And everybody's like, well, why is the Sallyport door open? Well, the Sallyport door was open because they was welding and cutting metal in the Sallyport, so they needed that as ventilation. Is that an excuse? No, it shouldn't have been open.
Sheriff Dean says these inmates are the only ones who have escaped this year. Sam Lane joins us live from downtown Joplin's last third Thursday of the event of the year for our first look at the weather. Sam.
It's another beautiful day across the 4 states, including downtown Joplin, where I'm located at the third Thursday. This is the last one for the year, so you need to get down here and enjoy it. The weather's going to be great. Let's take a look at radar right now, and you can see that we have just clear skies across the area tonight. Not expecting any precip. We do have the fire danger, though, especially off towards the east, where red flag warnings are in effect for southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and the Ohio River Valley. Also down into Oklahoma, there's some as well as far as the red flag. And that's mainly because the drought is continuing. In fact, today the map was updated, and we had the exceptional drought extending a little bit further into southwestern Missouri, including all of southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. And of course, that's surrounded by extreme drought. And I think we're going to have some good news on that coming up in just a little bit. But first, let's take a look ahead. It's going to be a big warm-up. We have a great weekend shaping up for the area. However, as we start next week, it's going to be a stormy Monday. And then with that storms and that storm system, we have the possibility of some heavy rains. And I think everyone's going to enjoy that. But until the rains get here, come on down and enjoy the third Thursday here in downtown Joplin tonight. It's going to be perfect weather. Back to you, Dal.
All right, we'll see you soon. MoDOT is already preparing for the possibility of severe winter weather this year. The department today held its winter weather drill. It consisted of crews being deployed to react to a simulated forecast of significant snow for the entire state. Officials say this drill is even more important this year because of staffing shortages.
So we can't just put them in a dump truck and say, good luck. We have to train those people. So at the beginning of the season, a lot of time, the new people will be in their training with a seasoned employee. So efficiency, it takes a bit to train those people before we can actually let them take the truck by themselves.
MoDOT says it spent more than $53 million on winter operations last year. Today is Project Warmth Day, and the city of Pittsburgh is organizing their fundraiser for those in need. This fundraiser is about serving meals that each cost $10. The money will go to families to help with their utility bills as it gets colder. A local pastor says it's crucial to lend a helping hand, especially during these times when temperatures drop and utility bills go higher.
What do we not pay? Do we not pay for a prescription? Do we, what do we have to cut out in our grocery budget? And so just to have this to kind of help out with that, to bring some relief.
Project Warmth has provided help to the community for 35 years. President Biden is back in familiar territory on the campaign trail in Pennsylvania. Reporter Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
Democratic Senate candidate John Fetterman was on hand to greet President Biden as he landed in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania.
My staff said to me, "You realize how many times you've been to Pittsburgh?" I said, "No." I said, 19.
The president came to tout the bipartisan infrastructure bill being used to rebuild a bridge that collapsed in January.
We managed to get some Republicans to vote for this, 13 in the House and 19 in the Senate. And I'm truly grateful for them. I mean it sincerely. but a whole lot more voted against it.
Fetterman is locked in a tight race with Republican challenger Dr. Mehmet Oz. The race for the open Senate seat has tightened as Oz's campaign has repeatedly questioned Fetterman's fitness for office following a stroke in May.
Agreed to a 90-minute debate on the 25th of October. Even though it's really late in the campaign, at least you'll give the voters of Pennsylvania as a glimpse into how you might answer some of these questions.
The Pennsylvania contest is one of the races that will decide control of the Senate, which CBS News still projects as a toss-up. Nevada is another state with a close race. A new CBS News poll out Thursday shows the two candidates in a dead heat. Both are focused on economic issues impacting the Silver State.
What I hear from my community, from not just Latinos here, but from families, it is still those kitchen table issues. There's no doubt about it.
What we've seen the last few years are these Democrat policies, whether it's attacking energy independence or spending too much money, causing inflation, is absolutely killing the working class.
A majority of supporters for both Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and Republican challenger Adam Laxalt say they're voting in order to give their party control of the Senate. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
President Biden told reporters he would be able to work with Republicans if they do take control of Congress next year. British Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned following a tumultuous 6-week term in which her policies triggered turmoil in financial markets and a rebellion in her party. She now becomes the shortest-serving prime minister in British history. The upheaval threatens to undermine Britain's pivotal role in the global economy and NATO. Russian President Vladimir Putin is declaring martial law in 4 provinces in Ukraine that were illegally annexed earlier this month. The move, which violates international law, comes amid ongoing Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure ahead of the winter season. Meanwhile, the EU has agreed to impose sanctions against 3 individuals and 1 entity supplying Iranian drones to Russia that have been used to bomb Ukraine. Still ahead, another side effect of a natural disaster.
Hurricane Ian is squeezing more out of your wallet. I'm Cristian Benavides with the storm's impact on your breakfast.
And next in Health Watch, how Hurricane Ian has led to a spike in infections of a flesh-eating bacteria. KOAM TV. Topping today's Health Watch, a dangerous microbe, sometimes known as flesh-eating bacteria, is causing a spike of infections in Florida. It's been breeding in standing waters left behind after Hurricane Ian, causing a record number of cases. Cristian Benavides reports on the danger.
Weeks after Hurricane Ian rampaged through Florida, it's still causing devastation. Floodwaters from the storm have become a breeding ground for deadly bacteria.
It's not clean water. If you have an open wound and you're immersed in water that is contaminated with bacterial growth, it poses a higher risk.
That's what happened to Kendall Smo's father when he helped salvage a friend's boat in Naples. The next day, he went to the hospital with an infected leg.
He fought until we all could be there for him to pass. He wanted us all to be able to see him and, share stories and express our love for him.
His infection was from Vibrio vulnificus, sometimes known as flesh-eating bacteria. It lives in warm, brackish waters, often where rivers meet the ocean. Sewage spills during storms can increase levels of the microbe, which infects people through open wounds.
The number of bacterial infections has already smashed records for Florida. According to the health department, there have been nearly 70 cases reported this year so far. That's already double the number reported in 2021. About a dozen people have died.
Symptoms can include fever and chills, a drop in blood pressure, and blistering skin lesions. The Hewitt family says their dad died trying to help others.
He did not like to see anybody suffering. It hurt him to see the suffering in this world.
He died within 3 days of his infection from sepsis and organ failure. A shocking reminder of the dangerous aftermath of the storm. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Hallandale Beach, Florida.
The CDC says 1 in 5 people with a Vibrio infection die, sometimes within a day or 2 of becoming ill. If you're having trouble getting active, maybe you need a new friend. Through a simulation study, researchers in New Jersey found people with a sedentary lifestyle became more physically active over time by spending time around moderately active people. And that is a look at today's health news. Sam Lane is next with your full forecast, and a little bit later how a major baby formula manufacturer is taking steps to prevent another supply shortage.
Good evening, folks. Meteorologist Sam Lane here in downtown Joplin with the third Thursday. I have here with me Cassie Matarino. And Cassie, tell us who you are and what you're with and why you're here in downtown tonight.
Yeah, so my name is Cassie, and I'm with the University of Missouri School of Medicine and Extension Services, and we brought our mobile health unit today. We are doing free health screenings for diabetes, hypertension, and cholesterol, and then we also have our research project called Our Community, Our Health. So we ask community members what they think about the COVID-19 vaccine and pandemic so that we can monitor how those perceptions are changing over time.
Well, it sounds fun. So not only can you come down here and enjoy the good food, also pick up some snacks for the trick-or-treaters, but you can also get free health screenings here with the University of Missouri Extension Medical School. So it is a great thing to be coming down here. And we've got great weather to talk about, too. First, let's take a look at Seneca, Missouri, down at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see a beautiful evening shaping up down there. And right now, it's a lot warmer than it was this morning. We started out in the 40s and 30s across our area. So it was a pretty chilly morning, but we didn't set any records. Then we saw temperatures warming up into the 70s this afternoon, a very pleasant afternoon, even close to 80 out to the west. In fact, it was 80 out in Howard and in Sedan, and temperatures are now starting to fall off just a little bit. The high in Joplin was 74 after starting out at 39. Of course, the normals are 69 and 47, and the records are 89 and 24. Set way back. Notice for the rain so far this month, we've only had a little less than 3/10, but that is going to be changing in our forecast, and that's good news. Over the last few weeks, we've been seeing above normal temperatures during the day. However, this week we made a little bit of a change. We had 3 days of below normal temperatures, which felt certainly nice after the hot summer that we've had. Temperatures right now are very pleasant, generally in the mid-70s across our area. 81, though, still in Sedan, and it's also in the 70s pretty much everywhere, with a few 60s thrown in down in Oklahoma. Over the last 24 hours, we are dramatically warmer than we were yesterday at this time. So we've had a warm up, and we're going to warm up even more as we go towards the weekend. Dew points, they're still low right now, so that's a concern for the fire danger. So be aware of that. Don't be throwing any cigarette butts out the window, as the fire danger is still very, very high. And that's mainly because of the drought. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 74 degrees. It feels like 74. The dew point is 32. And look at the humidity down there at 21% on those west-southwesterly winds at 11 miles per hour. Now, let's take a look at the forecast. Nothing on radar right now, but that's going to be changing over the next couple of days. And as we take a look at the future forecast, we're going to see temperatures dropping down into the 40s and 50s tonight with south winds. Then as we go through tomorrow, your Friday looks great. Partly cloudy skies with highs generally in the lower 80s, mid-80s out towards the west, and those winds are going to really start picking up. So please be aware of the fire danger as we go into the weekend, with temperatures in the 80s on Saturday on south winds. Then as we go Saturday night into Sunday morning, we're going to see mild conditions, breezy conditions as well for your Saturday night into Sunday. And lows are generally going to be only in the 60s as we go into Sunday, with that increasing deep moisture ahead of the next storm system. And that next storm system is going to get organized over the next few days. Notice as we go through time, a big trough carves out to the west. That storm system will eject out into the plains on Monday, and we have a chance of some severe weather as well on Monday, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But the main thing is the rainfall. Look at the rainfall forecast as we go through time. By Wednesday morning, some places could pick up over 3 inches of rain according to this particular computer model. That would be a blessing if that turned out to be the case. Some areas are not going to get as much as others, but still a good soaking in shape for the area, and that is good news. But first, let's enjoy the nice weekend with highs in the 80s over the weekend during the day, and then lows in the 60s. Then that chance of storms comes in on Monday, and I've added an alert day because some of the storms might be strong to severe, and then cooler on Tuesday with the rain continuing, finally ending by Wednesday, and much cooler as we go towards Thursday with a high of around 66 and a low of 39. So again, we're going to have a nice weekend, and we're going to have a nice Monday, in my opinion, because we're going to get a lot of rain too, which we desperately need. So come on down and enjoy the third Thursday here in downtown Joplin. We'll see you here a little bit later, and we'll have a wrap up on the forecast as well towards the end of the show. Back to you.
All right, Sam Lane. Thanks, Sam. Coming up, how Hurricane Ian could impact the price of your orange juice. First, though, we honor a local veteran, Ivan Powell, served in the U.S. Navy from 1951 to 1955. The Iola, Kansas native was stationed in Korea, and we salute fire control technician Ivan Powell, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the company taking some of the blame for the baby formula shortage is trying to make amends. Abbott Nutrition says it's planning to invest $500 million in a new factory to manufacture specialty infant formulas. The shutdown of Abbott's infant nutrition plant in Sturgis, Michigan, and a recall of some of its products led to a formula shortage that's ongoing. Abbott says it's in the final stages of finding a site for its new factory. Soon, Spirit Airlines could be no more. Shareholders for the biggest budget air carrier in the U.S. have voted to accept a $3.8 billion buyout from JetBlue. The acquisition would make JetBlue the nation's fifth largest airline, but the deal is likely to face scrutiny from federal regulators. Florida citrus growers had anticipated their first good crop in several years, but Hurricane Ian laid waste to much of that harvest. Most Florida oranges end up as juice, and as Christian Benavides reports, the damage adds up for consumers at grocery store checkouts all across the country.
Where the trees are leaning.
Looking around his orchard, fifth-generation Florida citrus grower Roy Pettaway sees dollar signs in the loss column.
We're estimating at least 40% of our crop is on the ground and unusable and unmarketable.
Hurricane Ian drenched Florida citrus groves last month, sending oranges to the ground and causing tree damage growers haven't yet fully assessed.
When we have trees that will all of a sudden rapidly die in the next 6 months to 8 months, those can be attributed then to either water issues, wind issues.
More than 375,000 acres in Florida are devoted to citrus, fueling a nearly $6.7 billion industry in the state. Orange production is already down 32% from the previous season, and preliminary estimates put citrus losses from Ian as high as $304 million. Growers only recently shook the lingering grip of 2017's Hurricane Irma.
This is no doubt a gut punch to an industry that we believe is on the cusp of being able to stabilize and start to rebuild.
Those factors could all put the squeeze to consumers, with higher juice prices at the grocery store.
With inflation already so high, I mean, what kind of increases are we talking about here?
I'd say at least 20%.
Patrick Penfield is a professor of supply chain practice at Syracuse University and says the impact on consumers could get even worse.
California is now the #1 producer of oranges, but I would anticipate probably next year is when you're going to start hearing about how they have a shortage also, and that's because they just don't have enough water.
For now, producers will have to rely more heavily on those California oranges and imported citrus from South America. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Hialeah, Florida.
A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a spike in cases of severe respiratory illness, putting kids in the hospital. Then on KOAM News at 6, authorities in Oklahoma conduct another search for the remains of girls who went missing from Welch, Oklahoma more than 20 years ago. Plus, we're going to hear more from the Ottawa County Sheriff about the recent escape of 4 inmates. And Pitt State looks to remain unbeaten this weekend as they host Missouri Western. Stay with us, CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Checking back in with Sam Lane now at Joplin's third Thursday event.
We have a beautiful evening here in Joplin at the third Thursday in downtown. It's going to be a beautiful weekend too, with temperatures in the lower 80s for highs and 60s in the lows. Then rain comes into our forecast Monday and Tuesday. Some of those storms could be strong to severe. Of course, we'll keep an eye on them for you. Then next week, it looks like it's going to be a little bit cooler, and then we start to stay near normal for the rest of the week. So get on down here and enjoy tonight as well as the weekend. Back to you.
Sam Lane, thanks, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.